Asato ma sadgaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorgamaya. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam everyone, thank you for joining again today. I think there's already some in the waiting room, so I'll admit them. But yeah, so we have been having a lot of different kind of sessions last, I would say, a couple of months, all centered around a topic of Swami's love, love in general. So we thought of changing, everything involves love, but we thought of changing the focus, so to say, today and go a little deeper into a topic of self introspection. And like so many times, Brother Siddharth has helped, has agreed to sort of lead the session for us. And we'll all obviously, this is still a study circle. All are welcome to, as always, share their thoughts and also add, because nobody is all knowing. We all share Swami's, messages. So सबके experiences, more than like there's no one right version. Sometimes it's just about expressions, opinions. More than opinions, is about understanding, different levels of understanding, and that session becomes richer if we all share our thoughts. So let's please do that. And then starting next time we may do a little bit differently कि कैसे topics पकड़ेंगे हम, but that's for later probably. तो आज के लिए, without wasting any more time, I'll probably hand it over to Siddharth to take it forward from here. Sairam, Siddharth.
Sairam, and let's offer our pranams to beloved Bhagwan, offering our humble and prayerful salutations to our beloved Swami, and let's pray together to him to guide us on this all-important topic of self-introspection. And let's pray that he blesses us with his message, guidance, grace, and his way of how do we go for this self-introspection. Sairam. So loving Sairams to all of you on this wonderful evening. Today is Father's Day, so fathers become fathers because of the mothers. So greetings to all the mothers also who made the Father's Day possible. And we have the best of fathers with us right here, whom we are looking forward to the guidance. And it's a good time to also introspect. How is our journey? And that's why this topic came up. I don't know whether I'm audible enough, or is it too soft or too loud, or
it's fine.
Good enough. Okay. So we are coming together on a topic, as Ashutosh said, after a long time. I think we started the topic of love in December sometime and went on till almost May, end of May almost, with so many people sharing their experiences, because love is all encompassing, and we wanted everybody to come forward and share their personal experiences about how they felt God's love in their life. And it's no brainer that that's an ultimate destination. It's a journey come destination. That's a uniqueness about love. And one of the key things on that journey to love is introspection, and more so with self-introspection. That's why we added the 4-letter word self as a prefix to introspection. We had touched upon this topic of introspection also, when we spoke about that analogy of kitchen and living room and all that. Remember, some of you remember that we touched very briefly about it, that what introspection we need to kind of do, and probably will end with in that state of what introspection we need to do. But most importantly, it's very many masters, divine masters, have spoken about introspection as one of the most important step sadhaka should do. Okay, and beyond spirituality also, I think any person who has achieved mastery of anything in life, be it music, sports, corporate world, or pick up anything, any aspect in our life. If anybody has achieved a mastery of that particular aspect, introspection, invariably you will see that they would have done throughout that journey of the mastery they have achieved. I've heard people like Ustad Zakir Hussain or Sachin Tendulkar or Lata Mangeshkar talking about introspection, and they have been constantly doing it. It's not that you do it in the first and then after the rest of the life is comfortable. The introspection is an ongoing process. It's a journey. It's not a destination. And that's in that backdrop we need to see that how do we kind of look at this topic. And that's why it's not just spirituality, but in any aspect that we pick up in life, it's important. If you have a goal in life, then introspection is a must step in that achievement. If you don't have a goal in life, then the introspection on the goal itself is important to be done. That why are we here? What is the purpose of our life and an existence, and what should we be doing? But once we have a goal in life, it's important that we pick up introspection as one of the important aspects. And that's why today's topic we thought will just one second, just one. Yeah, sorry. So today's session, what we thought, like always, will divide into three aspects or three questions. Is first one is this: what is introspection all about? Then second question is, why should we do introspection? What are the benefits of doing introspection? And the third question that we will attempt to answer is, how do we introspect, or how to do introspection? How do we carry out that exercise itself? So these are the broad three questions. If you are able to answer these three questions today, then I think we would have more or less covered the topic comprehensively. If anything is missed out, feel free to add to it. As Ashutosh said, nobody is all-knowing here, barring the father of the universe who is with us in the study circle today. But beyond him, none of us are. Besides him, none of us are all-knowing. So please do add if anything is missed out anywhere. Okay, so quickly starting off, what is introspection? And the format is always the same. First, we will discuss each question, and before we conclude on it, and then we move to the next question. So the first question is, what is introspection? Feel free to unmute and just share your thoughts.
Is it self-audit?
Okay, self-audit is one of the ways of defining it. Audit is a very strong word, and that's why consciously we kept us aside, because audit, people are a little scared of. But if you want to be very, very keen on achieving your goal, and as we said, spirituality or no spirituality, anything in life, then audit it can be used as an alternate word if you want to be very, very transparent with your own self. Okay, anything else? Think. Self-introspection. What do we mean by self-introspection?
When any situation is unfolding on the outside, at that point, rather than react to that, you just try and look within as to what you are thinking about that situation, what are you feeling, what are your emotions, and you try and process and look at yourself, look at within, and that is one thing. And also then there are those quiet moments when during meditation or when you're doing nam smaran or something like that. So regardless of whatever is happening on the outside, you are consciously directing your thoughts and your efforts to go within. So I think it's just getting a better and deeper understanding of yourself.
Okay, I think more or less you are there. Ushanti, you raised your hand.
Yeah, what I feel is first we should even understand the meaning of self. What is self? Who am I, first of all?
Correct.
Then we can go ahead.
Okay, I think well said.
It's like a inner journey from what others think you are to who actually you are. Understanding that basic thing. Actually, hum hai kya? That improving yourself day by day, by introspection. That is what we feel. Inner journey, in fact.
Okay, I think very well pointed out, because Swami's message is also very clear. There are three, what we are not one, but we are three, as he says. The one others think we are, that is a mind. What we think we are, that is a
Well, we
body.
think what
And
actually.
what we really are, which is the self. And that probably connects with the point with Usha aunty said about first knowing what is the self. I think knowing the self, if you know what self is all about, then you would have achieved the highest purpose, which we call as self-realization. But exactly knowing the self itself is a journey through which introspection is one of the means to achieve that. But all the points, I mean, we are just answering that question in a different angle, which all of them are valid. And as one of you said, internal journey, one is knowing the self, third one is going within and checking yourself, fourth one is self-audit. Any other points before we conclude on this
Yeah,
question?
I just want to say introspection of my thoughts, words, and emotions, that that changes my life. No?
Okay. You are specifying specifically thoughts, actions, feelings within.
Words also. Words.
Words also, yes. Thought,
Words
word, and
make.
deed.
Yeah.
We are just talking. How do we practice it?
Auntie, what third question? Let's not get into third
Oh,
question.
that's a third.
That's a third question. First, let's define what is introspection. We'll come to the third question.
Okay.
I think it is no matter what happens, you look within. You don't look without. You don't ascribe a cause outside, and you look within. Be it your emotions, be it anything. So it is just changing your focus from looking out to looking within, and introspecting what am I feeling, or why am I feeling like this. It's basically, as Pratibha said, understanding yourself more and more.
Absolutely well said. So all points are valid, and this is exactly what the introspection in simple words mean. Yeah. Pooja auntie, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel I was just thinking about this word today, and it keeps coming back when you ask this question, and that is antarmukhi. So we are constantly looking outward, and it's time that we just shift our entire focus and take a U-turn, and that's what I feel is introspection. Because once we look inward, automatically what's inside will take care of what's outside, so we don't need to be stuck in the mental state of even what we did, because what we did will no longer apply if we didn't do it. So finally keeping our focus on that constant integrated awareness and being, just taking a U-turn and looking antarmukhi, just like the sunflower looks at the sun, and we have to kind of change our entire focus. That's what I feel.
I think, as Swami also says, we are the creator of our own universe. So whatever is happening around us, it's a product of what we are thinking, our thoughts, and all that. So then he always wants us to go in and examine that very carefully. What is our attitude, and rather than look without, we are not capable of changing anything without. So he wants us to examine ourselves and see how it has led to a particular situation or something like that.
I think you brought a very important point, auntie. But only thing is, yeah, I'll suggest you to park that thought for the second question, because you almost spoke about the benefits of introspection. But it's all important points. So just park your thought. We will very soon go into deeper of the second question, and why it is so important. So, which you said, going within, introspecting within, self-audit, all kinds of. So, I mean, we are more or less have the same answer. And just to add a couple of things, in fact, all of you have answered the question, but just adding a couple of things is, see, introspection, if you divide the word into two parts, okay, one is inter and other one is inspection. Okay, if you use the word typically in, if I use like Sanskrit, Sandhi, all of you don't know that if you divide in two parts, things become much more clear. So inter and inspection. So you are inspecting your internal part, internal, dynamics, not internal part, internal dynamics, what's going on inside me. So that's an inspection we do, okay, in a very simplistic terms. And inspection of what, basically in a simple terms, I think even Parveen aunty mentioned about my thought, word and deed, feelings, and precisely. So even more specifically, what are my pluses? What are my weaknesses, areas to improve? Where am I going right? Where am I going wrong? Ultimate, why should we kind of look at? And then that's also, one of you mentioned about self-improvement. So that's why introspection is a journey, and because improvement itself is a journey, and that's why introspection also is a journey. But most important element which we need to keep in mind is it's an opportunity to pause and reflect. Okay, it's like a mirror. You go within and you check where do you stand. Okay, and that is what introspection in a very layman's word is. I'm looking into my mirror and saying, how do I look? Not physically, it is an internal mirror. Mirror is an external object, but like internal mirror, and I actually look at myself honestly. Where do I stand? What are my plus and minuses? Because what normally we end up doing to the world is we provide an image of ourselves, which may or may not be true. We always are conscious about our image that I should be good, I should look good, I should behave properly, but internally probably I'm behaving very differently. I am my own self-image for the external world, but what's my real internal image? Who am I really within? Okay, not just the self, but here I'm talking about using the self. That's a self-introspection, using the self to introspect my mental state. See, self is pure, unsullied, divine, effulgent, blemishless, okay, unadulterated. But before we reach that, if you recollect the example that we saw about the bulb and the clock pieces, I don't know how many of you remember that. So the bulb is a self which is effulgent, pure, unadulterated, full of light, full of brilliance. But before we reach that state, we also need to see कि अपना ऊपर जो कपड़ा डाला हुआ है, the mind, the cloth is basically the mind. How pure or unsullied it is. Is it gray? Is it black? Is it white? Does it have the holes? That stage when we reach. So using yourself, I will come to that level of how do we use the self. Okay, that's an entire, if I may use for want of word, like a technique, entire process of doing the introspection. But before we get into that, using the self to introspect our mental state. What quality of mind I have got. Okay, because body is actually a gross level of our mental state, and that's why most of our diseases that we get, people, all of us know that they are psychosomatic diseases. If you have a very, very fresh, pure, happy mind, very rare chances you have to have any diseases outside. So body is more of a gross, it's a result of something, but the mind, quality of the mind is what we need to check with the self. So that is where what is introspection, what is self-introspection. Introspection, inter-inspection, we go within, as all of you said, inspecting my within. Now, what is that within? Basically inspecting my mind, which again, I connect with what Parveen aunty said about thought, word and deed, my actions, my feelings, how do I look, internal mirror, and using myself. Okay, how I'll, and because self, as you said, one of us, it's a truth, it's a real self. It will never hide, anything from myself. So my real self is watching my image inside. What do I really have? And that's honestly, and a very important aspect why we should do is also, or rather not why, how we should, not even how, that's a third question. Again, I'm slipping into second and third question. But pause and reflect is two words we need to keep in mind. Because introspection के लिए दो चीज बहुत important है. एक तो reflection obviously. Second, pause. The challenge that we have most of the time in today's life is it's so fast paced. We don't have time to pause in between. So introspection के लिए pause is very, very important for us. And pause is not an ordinary word. It has very, very deep meaning in the spiritual parlance. And we will see soon what that pause means. Okay. And yeah, I think more or less, I think this makes it very clear. If anybody has any questions or doubts about what is introspection or what is self-introspection, we can address now before we move to the second question. or is it all clear?
I think we're good, Siddharth.
Okay, fine. So we'll move to the second question. Why should we do introspection? What are the key benefits? Why should we do? After having defined what is introspection, क्यों करना चाहिए? Sanjana aunty,
Sanjana,
can
you
we
have to mute करो.
Huh?
Sanjana aunty was speaking, I think. Probably she was on mute.
Sanjana, you're on mute.
Yeah.
No, we cannot hear you still. Yeah.
It's to improve ourselves, to cleanse ourselves, which is actually the aim of the human life, to go up.
Where up?
Where up means
Where
to
up?
reach God, to reach the self-realization, improve.
Okay. So goal is self-improvement, is what we even discussed earlier. What else? What are the other benefits of introspection, or why should we do introspection?
We must introspect so we can take responsibility for whatever is happening within us, to be able to control our inner environment. We have absolutely no control on the outside, on our situations, on other people. They will happen. But we have to keep checking our inner temperature, our inner equilibrium, our inner balance, because our happiness only lies with us and comes from within. But we always keep looking out and waiting, hoping, expecting from outside. But the more we go inside, the more we go deeper and move towards our source, our self, we will realize that yes, that is where it is flowing from. And we become less dependent on outside situations, circumstances, people, and we learn to depend and remain more in equipoise. And that is why we need to keep introspecting all the time.
Okay.
I would just like to say कि कभी कभी हम अंदर से बहुत दुखी होते हैं, तो I don't know why I'm दुखी inside, so that joy is not there, so that's why also I feel introspection is important.
Interesting point. हम लोग सुखी भी होते हैं कभी कभी.
दुखी भी होते हैं, पर when दुखी होते हैं, then we feel कि what is happening, everything is okay outside, but inside I'm still feeling dukhi. That's why I feel introspection is important.
I
Interesting.
would like to share at this point, sorry, I would like to share one thing. Ashu ke Nana ji, uncle jo hai, uncle always emphasized right from the beginning when I met him till now, in between also, he keeps reminding me, Mr. Uncle, कि सोने से पहले no, always morning से evening तक क्या किया है, you know, just अपने आप को सेल्फ ऑडिट जो बोल रहे थे वो करो. आई फील वो प्रोसेस में फिर नेक्स्ट डे यू डेफिनेटली गेट टू नो कि ये किया है अपने. आई थिंक सो ये होने लगता है कि आपकी गलतियां कम होने लगती है, मतलब पीसफुल, यू बिकम मोर पीसफुल, मोर हैप्पी, देन यू आर क्वाइट कंटेंट. ये सब आने लगता है, यू नो, व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड डूइंग दिस व्हाट अंकल हैड आस्क्ड कि एवरी डे होल डे यू ऑब्जर्व योरसेल्फ. दूसरा को हम लोग ऑब्जर्वेशन में पूरा जीवन निकाल देते हैं. We should start observing our own things, our mind, thoughts के साथ, feelings, everything. So this is what I felt I will like sharing. क्या मेरे को अंकल की बात याद आई और ये काफी powerful है. Like even children when he meets, he asks them also. है ना आशु, तुम लोग भी करते ही होगे. Like always observe yourself. अपने आप को.
Periods of time when we do it and then we don't, but you're right, every time he meets me, even now, he reminds me of the same. And I think he does it even now at 86 years of his life. He does it every night before he sleeps, and he has done it for decades. So that has
हाँ,
definitely helped him. So
अभी देखो कुछ दिन में मिलने जा रही हूँ तो मैं करना चालू कर दी. This,
यानी,
लेकिन ये
but yes,
बहुत हेल्प कर.
on that note, correct कह रहे हैं, आपकी benefits, and you know, those who know him will know his life, कि you can see the benefits translate into him, कि
वो
and then he,
मिरर जैसा दिखता है, कि आप कैसे, क्या कल की थॉट थी, देखो तुम ही ऐसा सोच रहे थे. लाइक साक्षी भाव, वो बहुत लाइक इट्स दैट काइंड ऑफ थिंग, साक्षी भाव,
yeah,
जिसपे एम्फसाइज करती थी आरुषि बहुत. तो आई स्टार्टेड प्रैक्टिसिंग दैट वे, कि खुद को खुद एग्जामिन करो, लाइक कुछ कर रहे, प्रतिभा ऐसा थॉट कैसे आया, व्हाट इज द बेनिफिट दैट यू आर गेटिंग, ये बाहर क्या है कि अंदर इनर जॉय. दीज थिंग्स एक्चुअली हेल्प इन ये जो हम लोग का टॉपिक चल रहा है.
right,
Yeah.
I think the biggest benefit वही है मेरे experience के हिसाब से, कि why we should do it is awareness आ जाती है. आप जो भी करो, छोटा चीज कर रहे हो, बड़ा चीज कर रहे हो, anything का awareness starts coming. वरना you just do it as part of your routine, you don't think, and once you start doing it then it becomes a habit, क्योंकि आप introspect कर रहे हो, आपने इसके बारे में सोचा हुआ है, तो जब एक्चुअली अगले दिन कर रहे हो तो फिर आपको थॉट आ रही है, तो मैंने सोचा था इसके बारे में, आप गिवन सम थॉट टू इट, वरना वो नहीं होता. और अगर जब वो एस्पेक्ट आई थिंक हमारी लाइफ में आ जाता है कि व्हेन वी स्टार्ट थिंकिंग अबाउट इट, व्हेन वी आर डूइंग इट, वो अवेयरनेस आ जाती है, तो फिर हमारा रेस्पॉन्स टू एवरी सिचुएशन अलग ही होता है, वर्सेस इंस्टिंक्टिवली जो निकल जाता है, जो हम कर लेते हैं, जिसको हम बोलते हैं इंस्टिंक्ट, हमारा इंस्टिंक्ट फिर चेंज हो जाता है. आई वुड लाइक, मतलब उस तरह से वी कैन वर्ड इट. तो दैट्स बीन माय एक्सपीरियंस लिटिल बिट.
May I
Hold that.
say something?
Just one, Arti, and just if you can pause for a minute, because this point which Ashutosh brought in are extremely critical point. Again, we have discussed in the past, because the spiritual field is interconnected in all ways. So whether you go this way or you go that way, it'll have some linkages. But the most important point we should hold and maybe make a note of is the biggest benefit of doing self-introspection is awareness. And why intern awareness? Okay, the awareness of, there are two types of awareness again. The awareness is of the current environment around us. That's one aspect, within and outside. The highest level of awareness is a different ball game, so we'll discuss it at some other time. But how do we look at a situation in life? So if I can put the two words, one is reaction, which Ashutosh said about instinct or impulsive, मैंने react कर दिया. Or if I have enhanced awareness, I'm able to respond to a situation. There's a huge difference between reaction and response. Okay, again, we have discussed this, but just to reiterate that point, if we constantly observing the practice of self-introspection, our ability to withstand situations in life and respond to it than reaction is far, far better. Reaction हानिकारक होता है because many times we end up speaking something or doing something which will hurt the other person, and later on we realize कि अरे मैंने गलती कर दी, and then by the time we go back and apologize, it's too late. And it impacts you also. But response is somewhere you take again the point of pause. The pause word, आपको all of us need to make a note of it, because when you are responding, you take a pause. In reaction, there is no gap between the action and reaction. The action, what I'm seeing in my life, somebody has spoken something to me, somebody has done something to me, or somebody has blamed me, or somebody has even appreciated me. Even appreciation ka reaction, I'm elated, that's boosting my ego. But if I'm able to take a pause and respond to the situation, then I am in a much better control of myself than creating another set of karmas, which again it has a connection to the karma philosophy. The agami karma, the next karma, wo create karne ke pehle I'm much more conscious of it, and that's why I'm able to avoid creating a next set of karmas in future. So self introspection ka sabse bada advantage is also having that sense of awareness, enhanced awareness. As we continue to do it, it helps us to respond to life situations, be good or bad, then react to it, and then incur a set of negative karmas which can impact us very adversely in future. It has a big advantage of these two aspects. So that's why I just paused Aarti Aunty to speak and said this is a point which we need to hold and maybe make a note of it. One of the most important benefits of why do we do introspection. Go ahead, Aarti.
What I believe is that we are walking, talking giant magnets. Whatever we think, whatever our thoughts are, whatever our feelings are, we are going to attract more of that from around us. So that's why self introspection is so necessary, because if we are sad or low, sure as hell that's what's coming to us. But if we somehow, by self talk, by analyzing, looking within, we kind of elevate ourselves, and we reach a position of being more happy, then sure enough, more happy situations are coming our way, because the universe is just a response, an echo of our world, is just an echo of what we send out. So in that sense, it is no point in trying to analyze others, outside situations, why, where, what, whom. It is always better to check oneself, understand oneself, and go deeper, because we all create our own universe. So it's like that, because two people can be in the same situation and look at it differently, and that is to do with their own attitudes, ability, and themselves, rather than what is unfolding on the outside.
I think again a very important point you brought about is, again, Swami says everything is reaction, reflection, resound of the inner being. Okay, exactly what Swami says this, and you would have heard many times that whatever we see outside is a reflection, reaction, resound of our inner being. So moment we are trying to correct ourselves within, through constant self-introspection, we are able to correct the world outside. That's another biggest advantage, and it's not easy. It's very easy for us to speak on the platform, but it's not easy. But that's a practice is what we need to do. Again, anything that we require to master it, we need to practice it, or abhyasa in Sanskrit, which is the right word. To keep practicing, and the correction that happens. And a most important point again you mentioned is about attitude, which is where I said in the first question that hold your thought for the second question. And attitude, I think this we would have seen in many times in our life situations, that we end up slipping into a negative state of mind. And most important aspect, now I'm slipping into a bit of third question about how to do it or what we need to be careful of, is we need to always surround ourselves with good company. We need to always keep ourselves a check on what environment we are working in. Many times we may not have a choice in our life. We may be part of a toxic environment. We may be part of, we may end up working with people who may not be comfortable with. We may not be comfortable with. And Swami's solution is very simple, that avoid bad company. And if it is not possible to kind of run away, it's better to remain silent. Okay, have limited mixing with such company if you're not comfortable with. But an external environment has a big role to play in shaping our attitude. And that's why to ring fence our own positive state of mind and attitude and sincerity in our progress, it's important to do self-introspection, because otherwise we'll end up slipping into, and I've got personally very many cases in my life, and currently also, I can reveal this to you guys, that the assignment which I am in, there is tremendous toxic environment around me. Tremendous. It is difficult for me to avoid. Practically everybody is going through a negative state of mind, and it's not easy for us to ensure that we remain positive in that case, because there is a tendency, if you leave the mind open, there is a tendency to slip into that negative state of mind. And what happens once your inner state is negative, you end up seeing negative everywhere. It's like a changing of your glass. If I have a white glass, I'll see white. If I have a red glass, I'll see red. If I have got a green glass, I'll see green. So ring fencing our attitude and positive attitude is extremely important benefit that we get through self-introspection. And if you have observed most of Swami's recent messages in last 6-7 days, the Sai Inspires or the thought for the day, they are all talking about maintaining silence and meditation. These two words are repetitive. I don't know how many of you observed this. Maintaining silence, even today's message, maintaining silence and having meditation. Okay, meditation is the next state, but before meditation, one of the key aspects is self-introspection. That's a very basic gross level step, which will help us to ring fence our attitude in a situation that we normally get into. Okay, so that's another important benefit. So thanks, Aarti Aunty, for bringing that point out. Any other before we sum up on the second question?
No separate ones there, but what I was thinking is, since this came out in a discussion from a lot of people, I think there are two aspects of this introspection, right? So one is the deeper one, wherein we pause, take some time, reflect on, say, the day or some particular incident. The other is while you're doing something, how you respond. Do you react to respond? Do you pause at that moment? So one is the momentary wala hai na, so self introspection at that time. So uske liye to we have heard so many things like a stitch in time saves nine, think before you speak, all those things are, I think, so that's important to say. Uska benefit alag hai ki wherein at that time, instead of reacting, if you have that attitude as we're talking about, that control within our emotions, तो उसका बेनिफिट अलग है कि वो बहुत सारी आगे की जो बड़ी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम्स है, यू विल से समथिंग व्हिच यू रिग्रेट द रेस्ट ऑफ योर लाइफ, तो वो सब चीजें रुक जाती हैं. The other benefit which he spoke about was कि when you reflect, and long term benefit है, wherein you mentioned कि you respond to things instead of react. So I would say in some cases I've seen कि वो reaction ही change हो जाता है, and it is instinctive, but an instinctive reaction itself is how it should actually be, and that is because you have introspected so much in the time that you had available. तो वो हैबिट क्रिएट करने से ये हैबिट हो जाती है. सो आई जस्ट वांटेड टू स्पेंड अ मिनट टू से कि ये दो अलग टाइप के बेनिफिट्स हैं व्हिच हैव देयर ओन यूटिलिटी. तो दोनों को वी शुड ट्राई एंड इम्प्लीमेंट as much as possible, कि अलग से भी टाइम निकाल के उसके बारे में सोचें, and then at that moment also if we can take a pause and then think about it.
A good point you brought about. So I think the state, if you're constantly practicing this, a state comes when our natural, the so-called reaction itself is in a right manner. What state you are saying is the next level. When we constantly practice this, the reaction and response का जो gap रहता है वो कम हो जाता है और practically eliminate हो जाता है, and whatever we respond to in life naturally comes out of that state of deep introspection that we are in. So, good point. Yeah, Arkan.
I think ultimately the benefit of also introspecting is that we have to learn to be our own best friend. We are always looking on the outside for some crutch, someone to lean on, some situation to be absolutely right so we can be happy. I think the idea is to understand that we need to be happy no matter what is happening on the outside. And I believe that is the way to move, as you said, towards awareness, towards consciousness. And I think also that is the way to break down the barriers and limitations that we have set. When you realize that nobody is very different from me, when you keep introspecting, then you also somewhere at the core reach that realization कि सभी तो मेरे जैसे ही हैं, सभी मैं ही हूँ. So I believe that introspection is important in that sense, to be dependent on yourself and be at balance no matter what is happening around you.
I think good point you brought about, but sabhi mere jaise hai is an advanced state. So we have yet to reach that state. The challenges come in ki why I am good and why somebody is bad, at a very gross level. So that is where we keep facing the challenges. Ki when I'm so good, why somebody is bad to me, or why things happen to me? And that is where the fundamental introspection comes to, with probably my thought process, my thought patterns. I think what Parveena Aunty mentioned earlier, a few minutes back, that I'm just looking at my thoughts. What kind of thought patterns I'm emitting? Am I having, and two things, one thing is very important for us to note, and you will observe in your life, you would have already seen in your life, is negativity multiplies and positivity adds. You see the pattern of thoughts. Negativity outpaces positivity in the thought process. Okay. And this is now question is why it happens? Because naturally mind is running externally away from the self. Self is pure, effulgent, divine. And if you're running away from it, naturally it is trying to cling on to those things outside. And more the negativity, obviously, it ensures the mind's survival. So the entire spiritual journey is to eliminate the mind. But mind survival is more so because it always wants to go out, and it remains its identity when you have negativity. And that's why the natural state of mind is, it runs after negativity much faster than positivity. So when we are looking at introspection, what kind of thought patterns I've got, what kind of feelings I've got, and while doing introspection on a constant basis, if you are able to reflect these thoughts, that probably I've been more thinking negative these days than positive. What could be the reasons behind it? What kind of inputs we are getting in? Again, it connects to that inputs of food intake that we do from the 5 senses, not just the mouth. What inputs I'm taking it inside? So introspection ke wajah se, again, it helps us to pause, hold at this moment, stop where we are, take a pause and reflect. Why am I thinking this way? See, that will help us to cut the thought pattern. The thought pattern which is running at a super speed, it helps us to just cut this moment. वो thought pattern को break कर सकते हैं हम लोग if we are doing introspection. That's another benefit of introspection. Why we should do? It breaks my thought pattern. It allows me to take a step back, pause and reflect what kind of thoughts I'm emitting. And all of us know this. Thoughts basically is an energy. Okay, and energy can never be destroyed. Okay, it can change its form. Again, this is science. Energy can change its form. It can never be destroyed. So more the negative energy I'm emitting from myself, it is only kind of attracting. Again, as going back to what Auntie said, it's like an echo and I'm attracting those back to me. And to add Swami's layer on it, Swami says, whatever you say, it's like an echo 10 times, it will come back to you. So 10x mere paas aayega. So again, introspection will help me to stop, reflect what thoughts I'm getting, why am I getting those thoughts, okay, and correct me there and there itself, before I get carried away with those thought patterns I've got. If somebody is speaking good to me, somebody is speaking negative to me, somebody is trying to harm me, I need to reflect, am I having similar thoughts for him? Unknowingly, because the again, going back to the conscious and subconscious mind में क्या भरा है? What's my hard disk made up of? And hard disk is made up of all the inputs I've been gathering from my conscious mind. अगर वहां पर गलती हो रही है, वहां पर I'm kind of having a junk set of thoughts because of the things that I've put in myself from outside. It is constantly emitting those thought patterns. So introspection again allows us to clean our subconscious mind. Okay, wait and see where it is going. And one best way, best way to do self-audit, if I may borrow the word from Munira Auntie, is check your YouTube. Mobile में आप YouTube open करके देखो, what kind of videos are in the queue. Automatically our so-called, our very beloved mobile phone without which we cannot live anymore, it'll automatically अपनको अपना शीशा दिखाएगा कि मैं क्या देख रहा हूँ constantly. If I'm seeing a good quality of videos, it will give me, the queue of good quality of videos. If I'm seeing a bad quality of videos, those things like, which will destroy my mind or take me away into a negative zone, it will also give me that reflection. So again, the YouTube itself is created in a set of thought pattern that we have with it. So that's a very important way. If you want to see, I think Munira Auntie asked, how do we do? Sabse pehle mobile khol ke dekho. Most of you are already on the mobile phone. Don't check it now. But after the session, go and check, open YouTube and see what kind of queue of videos you have got. That is the best self-audit which you can do. Okay, how to do it? This is the most practical, easiest and most comfortable way of checking. Then immediately you see probably I am watching more of those videos which I shouldn't be watching, or it destroys my mind.
Whatever you search for is what you're going to get. If you're looking for that, you're getting that for sure.
Precisely. So if you search for negativity, you get negativity. You search for positivity, you get positivity. You search for divinity, you get divinity. So YouTube is the best medium and to check our self-audit, what kind of thought process we have today. Okay, sometimes we may not be honest with ourselves, but YouTube will allow us to be honest with ourselves. Yeah, I think Pooja Auntie, you raised your hand.
I was saying another very effective way I've found to assess is my emotions. So if I'm happy, that means the self-audit is going to go very well. But if I'm emotionally good, it's going to go good. But if I'm emotionally bad, then I'm going to find something, because it's invariably that I have lost my peace. I had my peace and I am responsible for losing it. So that was emotional audit itself is a form of self-audit, I feel.
So precisely. So your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, आप check करोगे तो आपको पता चलेगा what kind of thoughts I'm getting and from where I'm getting. What is the source of my thoughts? Okay. So yeah, Aarti Auntie.
Yeah. Another thing is there is a witnessing self and there is another self. So if we can separate, we don't say I am good, I am bad, or I am sad, or I am unhappy. We say I am feeling unhappy. So the I remains in its steady state of balance. It is the feeling that is changing. Happy, sad, joyous. The I remains unattached, unaffected. So if we can just separate that, then we will stop taking onus and ownership of everything. ये मेरे साथ हुआ, ये मेरे ऊपर हुआ. So I think we just need to, if we can just substitute in our self-talk, I am feeling, or I am, I'm feeling angry, or I am feeling this way. So then the I is just remains as the witnessing or the observing self.
Who's this I?
The I is the awareness, the consciousness. It is the divinity in you. It is basically what you are, regardless of what you think you are, what others think you are, or what you might be. It is that unchangeable truth about you.
Okay. No, I think you again brought in an important point. But just we have to be a little careful at this stage, because two levels. One is you are looking at level 2 or 3 above, an advanced state. At the gross level, I need to be, because when I'm doing introspection, I need to own the responsibility of my thought pattern. So if I say that the thought pattern is, I'm not responsible for it, or probably it's happening on its own, and I just need to be a witness. If witnessing can help you to resolve it and be careful and attentive to ensure that that thought pattern doesn't happen, fantastic. Otherwise, you have to create that consciousness and awareness within कि मैं thought pattern कौन सी डाल रही हूँ जिसके वजह से I'm attracting what it is coming from outside. So at gross level, I will still say we need to have that ownership. Then the onus is on us to change, to modify. And वो process में करते a stage comes, obviously you lose the ownership eventually, because you come so close, your mind becomes purer and purer and purer and comes so close to the source, the self, that naturally you surrender the doership to the self. So what you're saying is right, but it comes at a little bit advanced stage. Okay, so it is a process which we need to reach there. So that's a destination which you have said, but here right now we are still at the gross level of arriving at that stage. Okay. So that's one. Couple of more things before we move to the third question, as we are reaching 7:20.
I thought all this is third questions in that, because we're discussing about how to do self-introspection.
The benefits, we're still hanging on to the benefits. Yeah, I know there is a lot of interlinking.
I don't technically we are still there, but what I'm saying is, like, for example, what thought to monitor, what not to monitor, when to do, what to do is, I'm guessing that's a lot of the third question.
A lot of third question. So it's you can say somewhere in between a second and third question. But you're right. So slipping straight into the third question, I think the most effective means, one, we spoke about YouTube, very honest response we will get. Second is maintaining silence for some time. Okay, maybe a couple of hours, 3 hours to start with. Silence means complete silence, because even if you experiment today, आज शाम को जाके से assuming 8 to 11 or maybe 10, not in the night time, we will naturally be silence from midnight to morning. That is not a silence which you're looking at. But during the day, if you are able to maintain couple of hours of silence, introspection will naturally happen. I don't know if you have not observed it, because all of us have got lots of life experience. Different points in time, you would have slipped into a silence, either by default or by design. And you will see at that moment, introspection naturally happens. So best way to do, how to do, I think, which Munira aunty also was asking, kaise karna hai? So the third question, the one easiest way to do is maintaining silence for 2 to 3 hours minimum. Okay, keep maybe 2 hours, because 15-20 minute mein kuch nahi hoga. 2 se 3 घंटा, you just observe silence. Automatically your focus will go within.
आते रहेंगे bad thoughts, but don't give attention to that.
So right. while doing so, you're able to observe now what thought patterns are.
बस वो आते रहेगा. Let it come. It will go.
Okay. One beautiful analogy I came across recently, I think we would have heard it also many places, that everything that you see outside, it's a screen. A screen पे हम लोग movie देख रहे हैं. The life is like a movie that we observe. Okay, and what is the lens we use is the mind. Okay, but to realize that we are watching a movie outside on a screen, and to realize that it's a screen, because अभी movie देख रहे हैं तो screen से attention हट जाता है. We are more focused on what's happening on the movie, on the screen. So अगर screen को देखना है dispassionately, uncluttered, unadulterated, in real sense, the whiteness of the screen, we need to have that cut off. We need to stop the movie that's happening. Otherwise, you will never be able to see the screen, right? Movie खत्म होने के बाद film theater में we were able to see, okay, ये तो white पर्दा था. But till the movie was on, we were so absorbed, we thought we were actually there. So a pause, reflect, introspection, and silence, all the 4-5 things that we are speaking right now, will help us to cut off that movie which is on. And that cut off through silence will help us to know that it's just a movie, it's not a reality. Params Yoganand, one of the divine masters, says that life is like a movie, you are just playing a role. Don't take your life too seriously, because just a role. It's not a reality. But to understand this and realize this particular statement that he had made, it's important that we cut off from the screen. And cut off ke liye you need to obviously have some kind of silence, some kind of meditation. I think I'm not getting into details of it because we have spoken a lot on meditation techniques and benefits and all that. But that cutoff is important for us to go with it. Then we are able to see the white screen as it is. Okay.
So we repeat God's name, Sai Ram, Sai Ram.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Every moment, every second, repeat करना चाहिए या नहीं? Thought तो रुकता नहीं. ये सब बड़ी बड़ी बात करते हैं हम. किसका thought रुकता है बताओ? पूछो.
So I think let's to answer your question, Auntie, I think we're yet to reach that state of, see, thought vanishes, your entire movie is vanished. Okay.
वो सब ठीक है. You just have to repeat God's name. That's all.
This way, I think so. Everybody must have experienced. Like if you are too much having wrong thoughts or disturbing thoughts or anything, Naam Smaran actually helps you. And after 10 minutes, you realize, "Arey, mera kya dimag to ekdam means it has changed its direction. Totally track change ho jati hai." Naam Smaran is that powerful. This, Auntie, I agree. I have always experienced this. नाम स्मरण से आपका जो है ना, जो कभी-कभी
हर सांस में उसका नाम, हर सांस में साई राम है कि नहीं?
हाँ जी. अभी हर सांस वाला टाइम.
One in response to this point, I think, Namasmaran is one way, Seva is one way, meditation. There are different methods to achieve the
correct.
But I'll give you an experience, real life experience, in another study circle in our own Samiti here. Not this Samiti, the other Samiti. There is one Abibi hai, is a lead singer, and out of the blue he raised his hand and said, "I have one big question, which is bothering me for almost a month now." So we asked him, "Can you raise that question?" And then he said, 30 years se main lead singer hu. I've been singing bhajans. I've been singing everywhere. Wherever there are bhajans, I've been going. It's not just, one samiti. I've gone across Dharma Kshetra. I've gone across other samitis. I've gone, sung in Mandir, in Parthi. I've been singing in Vrindavan. I've sung everywhere. 30 years, not 1 month or few days or, few years. 30 years is 3 decades, a long process. But aaj tak, I'm still struggling to control my anger. Aaj tak, I'm able to struggle to control my thoughts the way it is. I have a big issue with my ego and attitude. Why it is so? He raised this question. Any idea? Why is it so?
ईगो आता है ना.
हाँ, ईगो क्यों आ रहा है? आप बोले नामस्मरण, 30 साल से मैं नामस्मरण कर रहा हूँ, लगातार कर रहा हूँ.
The very thing देखो, भजन गाते ना, मैं गाती थी. I always used to think के बाबा बराबर गाती को नहीं, सुर लगता है कि नहीं. वो तबला बराबर बजाता नहीं. All these things used to pass in my mind.
I feel
And I
dissolve
was
bhajan.
singing, and I was singing bhajan. And I didn't find peaceful. Hi, Kenny. Am I right?
Expectations होते हैं बहुत.
हाँ,
That gives
expectation.
anger.
आई थिंक भगवान भाव प्रिय हैं और वो भाव नहीं था भजन सिंगिंग में. इट वाज मोर कि मेरे को भजन मिला नहीं मिला.
And
The focus was not on God. The focus was on the self and how I'm looking in the Samiti. Am I getting my turn? I'm such a good singer. So there was all kinds of plays of other things. Just that pure love for God and doing bhajan with that bhav, regardless of whether you are the lead or you are the one who's giving chorus. Just the beauty of being part of that sadhana and doing that nam smaran, I think might have been missing in that case.
So I think the important point you mentioned again is, if I am seeing outside, okay, constantly, even if I'm chanting Ram, 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 Sai Ram, whatever divine name we chant, if I'm still focusing outside, it will not give me the benefit. And that's why this point, since thanks to Mudira Aunty for bringing that point, not just Namasmaran, but everything that we do, we have to connect with it.
Correct.
Moment we look outside, we may have hundreds of years of Namasmaran and Seva, but it will never give us a benefit. And that's why it brings the spotlight back on introspection to connect the self, connect with the self within. Because the mirror is wahan par hai. So exactly the same answer we gave him that time. That if you go and introspect, ye kyun ho raha hai? You don't need an answer from outside. Your inner conscience will tell you why it is so. And if I'm constantly fighting for my place in the singing, team, I should get a second bhajan or a third bhajan, which is supposed to be, in quotes. If you are a lead best singer, you get second or third bhajan. And I'm vying for that position. Then the entire purpose of bhajan is lost. Because I'm looking for a position to make my presence felt. Namasmaran mein gaya hu, meditation mein baitha hu, but I am tom-tomming my progress to outside world. Then the entire purpose is gone. And that's why many times, I think, again, a very important point, as we are progressing on a spiritual field, there is a possibility that we may get, a better, even I will say, use the word power. There are a lot of people who get occult powers. There are a lot of people who get siddhis. A lot of people have become more clairvoyant. They're able to foresee things. But if you are using it to make other people, know your presence, it is only boosting ego and not going to the next level. And that's why all the divine masters, again, even Swami has said this many times, Buddha has said this many times, that again, point of introspection, where am I headed in my spiritual journey? Okay, and it has to be, so bringing to the point of how do we do it? One of the points which both Pratibha Aunty and Ashutosh mentioned about that uncle who does it on a daily basis, before we go to sleep, how my day has been, what kind of thoughts I have got, what kind of attractions I have got to the world, where am I getting pulled, what are the influences I've got today which is changing my entire focus, am I more inward or am I more outward as a day progresses, which pockets of my day I'm getting carried away by external influences, what are my weaknesses. And I'm telling you, it's not easy, because when you become honest with yourself, you suddenly see the crashing of your self-image. I've always been saying that, Siddharth is one of the best students. That's my world image, best. But अंदर जाता हूँ तभी समझ में आता है तो worst आदमी. Probably a criminal is better than me. Isn't it? So many times you go introspection करने के बाद वो अंदर का realization आता है कि मेरे में कितनी खामी है. I'm very far away to my destination which I'm supposed to. I always was in a misnomer situation कि शायद I'm just one step ahead. I can cross and jump and hop and achieve self-realization. But probably I am much, much, much far away. And that realization does come when we do deep introspection. So that's another important aspect that we need to do either in the night time or during the day whenever our mind is in a best shape to go with it. Okay, the time is based on individual comfort, but it's important to do. If the weekdays are difficult, at least once a week we should do. Once a week, how my last 6 days has been, how my next 6 days are likely to be, where I'm likely to falter. and try to look at, where we can implement certain improvement that we're doing. It may be baby steps, but that is another way to look at practicing introspection, either daily
That's
in the night or during the day in a comfort level when the mind is in the best state, or at least once a week. But it's a must to incorporate that in our schedule. Otherwise, there's a tendency that we would have done years of namasmaran, but as that person said, I have not reached anywhere. And that will be a disaster to realize at the age of 60, 70 that मैंने तो पूरा साल नामस्मरण पूरी जिंदगी की, but I'm still there.
the very fact मैंने किया.
So मैंने किया, मेरा नाम आया, I am the lead singer. So that is the problem. So that is where the external focus होता है ना, वहाँ से introspection helps us to do.
And second thing, Baba always said, do not judge others. Doesn't he say that? We may not be saying anything, but inside, आता है कभी ये कैसा है करके, आता है कि नहीं? सच बोलना सबको आता है.
We judge everybody, but we don't judge ourselves.
Ourselves, correct. Don't even judge yourself. Don't judge anybody. All is you. All is Baba. वो है तो मैं हूँ, वो नहीं है तो मैं कुछ नहीं. Am I right?
Yes, of course.
Yes,
Bilkul, auntie. 100%.
क्योंकि ये हम दोहराते रहेंगे पर कहाँ के भी नहीं रहेंगे. Just depend on Sai. If you are not Sai नहीं devotee, ये तो अल्लाह सब तू है, मेरे को कुछ नहीं मालूम कर. मेरे मुसीबत भी आई तो thank you God. That is for my own renovation. Then that understanding has to come. It's high time it came to us. We are going round and round and round and round. Correct?
Point taken, Andy. So basically what you're saying is again the destination, and all that we're doing right now is trying to take those steps toward a destination. If some of us have taken it, fantastic. Some of us would have moved ahead and been very close to the destination. That's even better. Some of us who are yet to start, maybe today is a good time to start. So different levels, but the destination is the same. I think Pooja auntie has raised twice her hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, one point Banafal auntie mentioned very beautifully, in that I have noticed that until I stopped judging myself, and I was very severe and very was for others. So that didn't make me feel good about myself, and in fact used to make me feel more depressed, my self-audits. So I realized that acceptance of ourselves is important. It's okay to know where we made a mistake without judging and being severe about it, and saying it's okay, we'll do it. It's okay is very important to say, even if we've done something wrong, and so that we can improve the next day. It's not that we don't want to improve, but we don't want to butcher ourselves. The second thing I wanted to bring about is that the method, like you said, the technique, what works with me, at least for a few hours in the day, is that one is that I start the day in silence or in meditation. And the minute, it's like a pendulum, I think of myself as a pendulum, that in the morning I'm centered, silent. The minute I get hyper or I started getting angry or upset or restless, then I'm away from my center. So the pendulum moves away. So the further the pendulum moves from the center, the lesser times it will cross the center. So my aim or my goal is to move as little from the center as possible, so that I can recenter myself, and hence I feel it can't be done just once a day or once a week. It has to be done throughout the day, every hour maybe, or whatever, whenever we
every second.
Yes, auntie. It's just that how am I away from my silence? Oh my God, I've gone away from my silence. But okay, I went away from my silence for 1 hour, 3 hours. But the
I
further we go away
think,
from my silence, it's very difficult to come back even in meditation, I feel.
I
So that's
think that is why Baba's given us seva. Do seva. Mind हट जाता है अपने ऊपर से. Unconditional seva. Not इसका क्या benefit मिलेगा. Am I right, Siddharth? Huh?
Yeah, I think again, these are the different methods and means.
So that
you can-
method has to be followed, na? Along with introspection and along with what we said. सेवा करने निकलो, बहुत सारे कितने, my God, एक एक के cases पढ़ेंगे, and at that time you say, okay, there goes I, but by the grace of God, I'm here. Oh, that is meditation. That is the best meditation.
And the people around you are the best people to, tell you how much you're improving.
Now, why should you bother about others?
No. Just to, see
No.
how you're working.
No.
I feel the answer is within, Sanjana. Your state of happiness, yeah, your state of bliss or being content, जो अंदर से आती है ना, if that is improving, बहुत अच्छा. What do you say, Siddharth?
बाहर आप कैसे react कर रहे हो?
बाहर के लोग हो सकता है गलत भी बाबा ही कर देते हैं.
घर के लोग, I mean the people around. घर में. They are your own people, no? They are your well-wishers. So they can tell you.
But why are you bothered about that? Let them think what they want. तुमको गधा बुला हुए हैं, तुमको बोले idiot, चलेगा.
I don't mean to say that. Actually, what I want to say is that, like my husband can tell me, कि आप कितना improve. He will tell me, आप ये गलत कर रहे हो, आप ये सही कर रहे हो. Because I feel he's on the high plane. He can tell me, ये गलत है, ये सही. बहुत बार हुआ है.
I think just to conclude on your point, it is always good to be. No, I think I got your point. What you're saying is it's important to be self-dependent when you're doing your introspection. Okay, today you have well-wishers around you who may guide you, but important point is everybody's reference point in life is very different. Okay, this point I don't know whether we discussed in the past. Sorry, the reference point. What I mean is your upbringing, your environment, your childhood, your education, your friend circle, your pick up any aspect which influences you and your thought process. Your mirror per se is very different than the other's mirror, including your husband, your children, your family members, your parents, everybody, including your sibling. That's why many times we come across that each individual is different. एक ही घर में बड़े पले हैं, लेकिन your influences are different and your reference points are different. So anybody who would like to check on you, they will use their reference point based on their dynamics, their upbringing, their childhood, their influences, which may or may not be right. Okay. तीसरी एक बात है, I don't know, I think this is common to all our lives. How many of us are 100% transparent to the entire world, or at least even 1%? Forget about entire world. 100% transparent in and out. In an absence of 100% transparency of our thought, feeling, deed to any one person, okay, they will not be able to give you a complete picture about yourself. They may guide you to some extent. Okay, people may have plus and minus talks about you, कि आपने ये बताया, ये सही नहीं था, you should have improved. You can take it and see whether it helps you to improve. Take it as an input, but that is one of the inputs that you can take. The foundation still remains within your own self. Okay, so that should not be replaced by an external response that you get from people. Okay, so that we have to be very, very careful. So take inputs from outside, but that may or may not be 100% right. That again, you can only go through self-evaluation. Okay, because the other person may not know end to end, even if it is a spouse. Okay, your internal thoughts, feelings, everything is not coming out. You pick up any human being. It's not that you, me, or anybody. Any human being, if you see, we are never transparent 100% to anybody else outside, barring God. And that's why God or Swami always says, I'm very, very closer to you even than your father, mother, spouse, children, everybody else. He knows our thought process. He knows our life. He knows. That's why the dependability on him eventually comes. Once you go closer and closer and closer to him, the dependability starts coming in. Okay. If you're already there, fantastic. Your life will be very beautiful because then he takes charge like a Sarathi. But before that, he's the only person who will know in and out about us. And that's why self-introspection, the self, the divine, divinity, the Atma, the soul, Swami, Guru, God, everything is one and the same. And the more and more closer we go through self-introspection, the transparent way of looking at our respective life will not come. Okay, that brings an important point. There is one more question Parvinati has raised. It's a little different question. Probably we'll get digressed from the topic. Maybe Parvinati, I'll call you separately and answer that question if that's okay with you. Okay, because we are running past time. But most important aspect, introspection is a privilege which only human beings can do. If you consciously see all the species in the creation, introspection is a privilege only and only human beings can do. Okay, and that's why when we know Jantu Nam Narajanma Durlabam, as our scriptures say, and Swami has repeated many times, human birth is the rarest of the rarest opportunity to achieve salvation. Why it is so? Because introspection ke liye you need discrimination power. The importance of discrimination is very, very critical in introspection. Because introspection, जब मैं करता हूँ, mind, manomaya kosha, and there is anandamaya kosha. In between there is vijnanamaya kosha. The intellect, the buddhi, the ability to differentiate between good and bad, right or wrong, sahi galat. So that discrimination power is given only to human beings. See, plants have the divine energy, the divine soul or Atma or whatever you call it, but they don't have mind. Animals have mind, but they don't have discrimination power. It's human beings who have soul for plant, the way the plants have, mind like how the animals have. I'm not saying the human mind and animal mind is same. I'm saying the added characteristic. And plus we have got discrimination power, which no other species in the creation have. Okay, and because of the discrimination power, we are able to introspect and decide our response to the creation, to the world outside. Okay, through discrimination power, we are able to take a right call in our life. Through discrimination power, we are able to change our hard disk called subconscious mind. Through discrimination power, we are able to have response and reaction to the life outside. Through discrimination, we are able to move on the path of spirituality because it will guide us. And why discrimination is not ultimate, but discrimination is a tool, is a power, is a rare quality that human beings have, all of us have, and that actually has been fed by the self. If you see आपकी सारी introspection की प्रक्रिया आप जब ये अंदर करते हो, your discrimination is fed by the self. The self is guiding the discrimination and telling you ये सही है, ये गलत है. What we call it voice of conscience. The conscience will tell us. And that's why the word of self-introspection. We are coming closer and closer to the self using the discrimination medium to decide whether मैं सही कर रहा हूँ, गलत कर रहा हूँ, what kind of thought patterns, what kind of behavior, what kind of feelings, what kind of emotions I'm having, and where are they coming from, what kind of inputs I'm having. And that's why, because of the presence of discrimination power within us, which is a rare, it's probably the only human beings have are the only species who have the discrimination power, and that's why introspection is possible only in human beings. An animal cannot sit and introspect. A plant can definitely not introspect. They are all bhog yunis. They have to go through the karmas. But human being has the discrimination power, which allows us to introspect. Through introspection, we are able to achieve the right aspects of life, to correct our methods, correct our means, correct our actions and feelings and thought processes, which will eventually allow us to go deeper and deeper and deeper and achieve the self-realization, which is the ultimate area, ultimate goal. And that's why having the discrimination power, agar hum log introspection nahi karenge, I think we have lost the opportunity. Okay, so it's not just as a normal kind of chalo 5 minute बैठ लिया कुछ नहीं है तो क्या, what kind of thought process I have got. Good to do than doing nothing, but that's not the only way. We have to have more discipline into the introspection process. Design a time the way we have time for brushing, bathing, and cooking and eating. We should have that, time. Utilize the discrimination power to achieve that, purity and closeness to divinity that is there. Okay, and finally, we are well past the time, but 3 most important questions which I thought I will leave everyone with is, where did I come from? Okay, this is a question which Swami repeatedly asked most of us. Pick up, you would have seen, he starts with that entire dialogue and conversation between the other person. He starts with, where did I come from? And that's the most important. Suppose ये question को हम लोग लेते हैं, Swami's own words, where did I come from? He's asking us, where do you come from? But when I am asking myself, where do I come from? Okay, where am I going? If I add one more question. And third question is, what am I doing? And finally, who am I? ये 4 क्वेश्चन को हम लोग बंच करेंगे. That's one way to introspect. Okay, within ourselves. कि मैं कहाँ से आया हूँ, कहाँ जा रहा हूँ, क्या कर रहा हूँ अभी currently, where am I? And who am I finally? कि मैं कौन हूँ? Because मैं कहीं से तो भी आया हूँ, कहीं तो भी जाऊँगा. That मंथन जो होता है अंदर, that is one, I'm saying one set of question that we can look for practicing for introspection. Second question is, what is temporary, what is permanent? I think we spoke about this in one of the past sessions. Kya temporary, kya permanent hai? It's not an ordinary question. I'm telling you, life will change. For me, it took 3 years to answer this question. And after that, the entire approach to life changed. The entire, ab jaise bole, one of you said, how your life sees, your entire external being had changed because internal being had changed. So what is temporary, what is permanent? Ye distinguish karna bahut important. Answer, agar aap already wahan par ho at that good level and Swami's grace is there, you will get an answer in a trice. Otherwise, it may take months, weeks, years to achieve this answer. What is temporary, what is permanent? Mind you, all of us know intellectually कि ये दुनिया सब temporary है, relationship temporary है, wealth, और intellectually we know. How many of us really believe it? How many of us have made it a point to realize it and actually make our approach to life? So what difference is still there? So intellectual is fine, but realization is, it will come through this question of what is temporary, what is permanent. And last question, is how much hunger I have for God. Again, we spoke about this question earlier, but it's important as a food for thought or food for introspection. How much hunger I have for God? Do I give him number 1 priority in my life? Okay, 3 questions I'll repeat. 1, where did I come from? Where am I going? What am I doing? And who am I? This entire, my journey, that set of questions. If we go for introspection, मैं कहाँ से आया हूँ, क्या कर रहा हूँ, कहाँ जा रहा हूँ? A lot of things will get, all the strength and weaknesses and areas to improve and whatever we discussed will start becoming clearer when we ask this set of questions to ourselves. Second question is, what is temporary, what is permanent? Okay, and third question is, how much hunger I have for God? Do I give him number 1 priority in my life? Okay, this only self-audit can be, can give an answer. It's not for the, rest of the world. It is only for a self-audit purpose, which we need to ask. So these are some, it's not that this is a comprehensive list, but these are the 3 questions which can give a large impact in our life when you do a self-introspection. If you are able to get answer of even one of these, I think the remaining 2 questions will automatically get answered. So these are few things which I wanted to share on this topic. There could be many thoughts. I know most of you may have more thoughts to share, but we are well past the time. So we will close unless anybody has any question. Quickly, 2 minutes. Okay, so no questions, so we'll end right now. I think Ashutosh has left. He had some other thing to meet up. So we'll end with Samasta Loka and Om Shanti. Okay.
Okay.
Om Shanti 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 Samasta Lokaha सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की
जय
जय।